Been seeing more and more people out there remote tuning or having their buddies tune their stuff, and or you guys tuning your own stuff. And I've gotten a bunch of these tune-ups, and it's scary. So I figured I would make a video um, on safeties, and maybe we can help you not nuke your stuff. So I have Holley software open here. And I'm going to go over how to. I've made another video in the past about how to do some safeties, but this is a little bit more in depth and a little bit better to be applied for the majority of people. So, if you don't already have the IO-ICF, you need to go to Toolbox and then add individual config, select IO, whoops, select IO, and then just get, whatever base config or something. So, we're going to go to the IO-ICF, and we're going to click Outputs. So, a couple of things we can do here. The first I'm going to go over is the linked way to do outputs, and I think that this is probably the better way. So I've got a main safety here. It's a can ground, and the reason why it's can ground is just because you don't have to pin it to anything in the pin map. All right, so it's not pinned to anything. This fuel pressure delta, I'll show you that in a second. And we can make that can as well. So you just don't have to pin it. This is all internal stuff. It's just the ECU telling the ECU to do things. You know what I mean? So it takes some info in, and then it spits it out and tells it to shut the engine off or whatever, or use it in an advanced table or whatever. So my main safety is a can ground. I'm going to go to configure, and there's no triggers for it in here. The reason there's no triggers for it in here is because of the way linked output works. So if we clicked on linked outputs, I have 4 of them. Any one of these goes off and it will turn on the main safety. Okay. So the way a linked output works is whatever you have in here, like, so say you have what high beam indicator is in it. Obviously this is stupid and I'm just grabbing the first thing that pops in, right? The way linked outputs work is this would have to be active, and this would have to be active, or if you put or, that would work as well. It would be this and your linked output, or this and your linked output, or one of your linked outputs. So I don't need any of this to be active. The only thing that we could do here that would make sense would be to change this RPM. There we go, above, say, 500. But I've got that already in all my linked outputs. So, so RPM above 500, and then any of these linked outputs active. So, but for simplicity, we're just going to leave these at 0. So these linked outputs, if any of these, a single one of these goes off, it turns on this main safety. That main safety is set up right now in an advanced table. So if we go to advanced, 1D tables, main safeties is what I named it, right? Whoops, forgot an E in there. There we go. It's a timing offset. X-axis is RPM, and I'm just using that as like an easy nothing. It can be whatever you want, right? And it's just pulling 40 degrees out of it. So it'll just pull 40 degrees out of the motor, should shut it off or make it lay over so hard that you're going to get out of hopefully be smart enough to get out of the throttle. All right. Now, what are those linked outputs? Let's go look at them, right? So we go to our output ICF. So there's our main safety, and then here's our list of linked outputs. Safety link fuel pressure, safety link oil, safety link temp, safety link AFR. Okay. So let's look at safety link AFR. All right. This is pretty simple. We have a output with no switched input triggers. And if you wanted to have a switched input trigger, you can. You could have like master enable is on. So like before you're about to make a pass, right? And you could say, and all these, whoops, single, change this to 1. There we go. Closed loop compensation is above 20%, which means your fuel map is off by more than 20%. And closed loop is trying to add more than 20%. Kill ignition. Because if it's a fuel pump dying, kill ignition. Like, pull the timing out of it. Just kill it. shut it off, right? You're not in some high stakes shootout and you have to make it down the racetrack and you don't have to make this event and blah blah blah. Get rid of that mentality and you'll be a lot more successful. Closed loop compensation above 20%. Man, yank 40 degrees of timing out of it, make it lay over, and then figure out where you screwed up your fuel map, right? Or your tuner, or whatever, right? Or maybe nobody screwed up a fuel map, but you got a fuel pump dying. Okay. Closed loop compensation above 20%. That one goes off. Just keep it simple, and there we go. There's no linked outputs to this, right? So just closed loop goes above 20%. Boom. We're shutting down, right? We're pulling 40 degrees out. Okay. I'm trying to make all these easy. Oil pressure, right? So RPM's above 1,000 and oil pressure's below 10 psi. Is there any reason that y'all can think of that you should be going down a racetrack or cruising down the road above 1,000 RPM and have less than 10 pounds of oil pressure? Well, let me know. I don't think there is. So, I mean, whatever. This is an easy way to save yourself a big headache. Maybe you want to bump this number up. Maybe you want to pull this down. Whatever you want to do. Obviously, don't set it so that, like, if your car sits there and idles at 1,000 RPM at 12 pounds of oil pressure, right? Maybe don't set this to 10 psi. Maybe set a RPM above 1,300, right? Maybe, so you don't want to have like false triggers going off over and over again, and you chasing your tail. So there's oil pressure. Okay, and we go back, and let's go to temp, right? So you can put all the warnings you want on the dash and whatnot, but when you're just driving down the road and you're not really paying attention, or you're tired or whatever, it's better off to just shut that thing off, right? So RPM above 500, coolant temp above 220. Maybe you've got a car that runs at 230, like some of the Corvettes and stuff. Fine, bump that up, right? But this is just a generic starting point, okay? So again, any of these go off, you're going to trigger the main safety, and the main safety is going to yank 40 degrees out of it. All right, so now fuel pressure is a little bit more in depth, right? So RPM above 500 and the fuel pressure delta is above 20%, right? So what is fuel pressure delta? So I made another video on this, and if you want to learn more about fuel pressure delta, there's another video on my YouTube channel that you can watch and learn and yada yada. This is a generic output that does nothing. It's a PWM output, but it doesn't do anything. All it is just to monitor a delta. So what is a delta? A delta is the combination of two. You have a target and an actual, and your delta is the difference between the two. So let's look at PWM setup. This is based off of a target fuel pressure or a base fuel pressure of 50 psi. Okay, so if we have 50 psi and we have, or 55 psi, I'm sorry, this is a target base fuel pressure of 55 psi. So if we have 55 psi and we have 5 pounds of boost, we have a 0 delta, because at a 50 pound, it's a 50 psi base fuel pressure. Sorry, I'm tired. It's a 50 psi base fuel pressure. So if we have 5 pounds of boost in the engine, the regulator should rise 5 psi. If the regulator rises 5 psi, we should have 55 psi of fuel pressure, which means our delta is 0, which is perfect. Okay. If we have if we've got 20 psi and or 21 psi, and we've only got 55 psi of fuel pressure, then our delta is minus 16%, right? So it's our minus 16 psi. It's off by 16 psi, right? So this is literally, you just key this in, and then you can just you do a little bit of math, and you can figure out your corners, and then you just scale it. So basically, we have a 0 line that runs, right through here. That's your 0 line. So like if everything was perfect, it should ride right along here the whole way, right? That's what it should do. So that's fuel pressure delta. And you can inverse these numbers, right? So a positive to a negative to a positive. It doesn't really matter, right? All you're doing is you want to monitor them. So if we look at our output safety link fuel pressure, this is actually backwards, but It should be a negative, right? So whatever, you just change that to negative. So, so if it's below minus 20 psi, so that is your fuel pressure delta. So if that FP delta goes off the rails, as in your fuel pump doesn't keep up, right? So like say you're up here, you've got 33 pounds of boost in the motor and you've only got 65 pounds of fuel pressure, but we had a 50-pound base. That means you've only gained 15 pounds of fuel pressure for 33 pounds of boost, which means we're off by 18 psi. So if we're off by 18 psi, there's a problem. One of the two things is going to catch our main safety. It's either going to be this fuel pressure delta or closed loop compensation is going to increase past 20%, pull 40 degrees out of the motor, shut it off. You go back to the pits and you go, what did I do? What's wrong? Oh, I got a bad ground. Oh, I did a crappy job wiring my fuel pump. Oh, my fuel pump cable is broke or it's slipping or whatever. Tons of reasons. This is a good way to save your engine. It's a good way to save your day, right? So again, to recap, you've got a main safety right here, and all these are linked to it. They're all ground, or they're all CAN ground outputs, right? Again, you don't have to wire anything this way. You don't have to pin map anything, yada, yada. And if any of these go off, it'll trigger the main safety via the linked output, and that main safety will trigger this advanced table with a timing offset and knock 40 degrees out of it. You can also do like a fuel flow offset, right? So we could let's change this to fuel safety. So this is another way of doing it, right? We can go here. We can go fuel flow offset, x-axis. We'll just change this to RPM. When RPM is above 500, so it's the same parameters. And let's just go minus 8,000. That's going to shut it off, right? We're going to yank every ounce of fuel out of this thing. So it's going to have no timing. It's going to have no fuel. Guess what it's going to do? Shut off. And then you can fire the car back up and drive it back to the pits if it was just a tune-up related thing. If it's oil pressure, it's going to shut off again. And you're going to scratch your head and go, what's going on? Oh, that's right. I made these safeties so that I don't have to buy a new engine because I suck and I forgot to put the belt on my oil pump, or we broke a fuel pump or an oil pump drive spud, inside of a small block Ford or something, or my Coyote oil pump gears blew apart and took a dump. So now we've got no pressure. Well, yeah, you've got a bad oil pump now, but you had a bad oil pump no matter what. At least you saved the engine. So, these are a good way to do it. I can also attest to you that if you're in the finals of a shootout and it's paying less than $50,000, right, or $20,000, basically less than whatever the cost of your engine is, it is advantageous to have a safety to save your engine instead of going, well, hell, I don't need that. I'm going to make a pass anyway, because it's going to cost you more money to replace the engine than you're bound to win. So just remember whatever that threshold is, and once you start racing for more than that threshold, or you just don't care about money, then turn these on. If not, turn them off. If you don't care about money, and it doesn't mean anything to you, then turn them off. So hopefully these safeties will help y'all save your stuff. So I've gotten some tune-up sent to me from some people, and it's kind of scary sometimes. So I've gotten data logs from some people, and I'm like, man, what was that? And then when I hear that they paid somebody to do it, I'm like, oh boy, it's even worse than I thought. So, just use this applicably, or you can apply this to just about every other car out there. And if you don't care about safeties, don't use it. And if you don't care about my videos, then don't watch them. I don't care. So anyway, have a good one. See ya.